Hey gang, Amersil here. I made a promise the other day that I would try to make some more low and mid tier videos to help demonstrate how to play at those tiers. Of course there are different types of ships and I don't play much CV, but I thought I'd start with destroyers. I posted one in Hatsuharo a couple days ago, and I actually played this game more or less around the same time, but I'm just now getting a chance to sit down and turn it into a video. Okay, so a couple things. We always want to look at what is the enemy lineup. We don't have a CV, which is really nice. And so next thing we're looking for is, do we have radar to contend with? And we don't. So in this case, despite the fact that we are up tiered, we are mid tier in a tier 6 destroyer, which means unless the enemy team had an Atlanta or a Belfast, we don't have to worry about radar. Now we do have Atlanta on our team, yay us. So what am I doing here? There's no cap to contend, but I want to make sure that if possible, I'm in position to be able to detect torpedoes for my teammates. Destroyers have a pretty narrow profile, so my goal here is to, if possible, spot any incoming torpedoes. Now that Ravensmith 1 Shinonome player apparently had the same idea for his team. Now he might have been distracted, maybe he was reaching for his coffee cup, who knows. But I was able to land almost 3,000 damage on him, smoke up. And I don't want to sit here because almost certainly he is turning. He did, same way that I did. Now I'm guessing when I throw torps out there that he's going to turn more sharply and then run away. And in fact I think that's what he ended up doing, but yeah, you can see there that he did. So what am I doing now? I'm just doing what I call penciling up and trying to create as narrow profile as possible to avoid incoming fire and to allow myself the opportunity to outrun incoming torpedoes if he threw them out this way. And I'm running this way in particular to provide myself the positioning to be able to spot torps early for the Zara, who is just to my port now, behind where we're looking. Running away from potential torpedoes allows me more time to maneuver and to get out of their way. So if I could spot incoming torpedoes before Zara and spot them for him, then he would have more time to maneuver and, at least in theory, to avoid getting hit by one. So that was that decision, and that all happens really quickly. This game, the pace of this game is, compared to a lot of games, really not very fast, but situations like that require a whole lot of kind of micro decisions in a very short period of time. So I just was trying to walk you through what I was thinking about during that period. Now what am I doing here? I'm biding my time a little bit because he didn't throw torpedoes out earlier, and I thought he might throw at least one set to this corner in anticipation of me running this way. Now we've got Zara there that's going on the inside of this island. I'm pretty sure I'm safe from torpedoes here at this point, and that probably the Shinonome is focused on the Zara and Pensacola, so I'm just full speed ahead, and I'm going to try and get my guns working. I'm not too worried about the York and the Pensacola on the enemy team because of their range. Doesn't mean they couldn't hit me, just means that if they did, it probably wouldn't be for much, and then I could probably avoid most of their shells. Now, I only slowed down to a stop there to prevent eating a torpedo. I don't know whether he dropped torpedoes this way, but there's a chance that he did, so I'm just narrowing my profile. And I'm going to give it maybe a 10 count or so. And if I don't see torpedoes, then I'm going to make speed for the enemy cap. You can see the enemy York and Pensacola are both running. Duke Aosta is not running yet, but I think he ends up running. So I don't have a whole lot to worry about there. I'll have to watch for torpedoes from the Duca. I think he has range 12 torpedoes, if I remember right. Our Zara, Pensacola, KGV, Omaha, Scharnhorst, they all seem to be kind of camped up behind some islands. But I'm going to go ahead and push this. Now, why am I doing that? Well, two things. First, and probably most important, it allows me to be able to spot for my team. I don't know that I'm doing any spotting right now. These guys might be spotted all on their own, but I'm thinking right now that I want to be close enough to spot the enemy ships for my team so that they can continue to lay shells on them. And you can see York just got whacked pretty hard there. And I'm running at almost 37 knots, basically straight toward them. So I'm referring to the minimap on a pretty regular basis. It looks like, of course, that the enemy team decided to make a push on the other flank, which works out great for me because it gives these cruisers that are in their cap a good excuse to say, well, let's just go over there. And that's kind of what they're doing. It seems on its face to be kind of counterintuitive and maybe a little bit ridiculous, but we see it all the time, right? I mean, you see one flank collapsing and everybody kind of runs for the other flank. Now, it's one thing to do that and kite and basically just be angling and throwing torpedoes and or HE shells in most cases into the face of a pushing enemy. But these guys appear to me to be just flat out running away. So that's 2 down. York, Pensacola, both gone. Cap's basically unprotected. The Duca's running broadside. It's just a question of time till somebody catches him. I'm still keeping an eye out for the possibility of torpedoes from him, although I doubt he would throw them this way. He would probably throw them north of my position. So I'm debating, do I go straight into the cap or not? If I go into the cap, I'm basically giving the enemy team some intelligence. I'm telling them that there's an enemy destroyer in their cap. So I want to avoid that, at least for a little bit longer, because I'm closing on the Duca, and I can see that he is just obviously running away, trying to get away. And he's a very fast ship. He's outside of my gun range, but my hope is that he's going to slow down before he gets himself in position to be shot by our Scharnhorst or any of the ships that are north of my position, kind of back by our cap. And in fact, it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. He's slowing down. You can see the range is closing. Now, Shinonome has terrible turret traverse. Terrible. It didn't get the same turret traverse buff that all the other IJN destroyers did some time ago, which, Wargaming, if you're listening, well, maybe you could still do that. But it does have fantastic alpha for its tier. Really only needed to land 1 shell there, but it's got 6 really good guns. Now, they are down 4 ships. We're only down 1. I could have smoked, but I opted not to here. I go ahead and, and think, well, I'll run the risk of getting hit and save my smoke, because my team is pushing, and there may be a time where one of them is going to need my smoke, and I want to make sure I have it. So we're down 2 ships. They are now down 5. This is looking a little bit more like a mop-up operation. Now, one thing I'll note about the Shinonome and several other of the IJN destroyer line, particularly at mid-tiers, this ship is outfitted with twin turrets on the rear of the ship, and they have fantastic rear firing arcs. So the Shinonome, obviously, with only 1 gun up front, is not great at chasing anyone. So I don't recommend doing that especially in the mid-tier or low-tier Japanese destroyers, for 2 reasons. 1, your guns are more loaded up on the back of the ship, and 2, torpedoes have a limited range, and they only have so many knots that they travel, in terms of speed. So if someone's running away from you, unless they're fairly slow or really close, chances are very good that your torpedoes will never reach them. Now, so there you can really see the 2 turrets on the rear of the ship. So what is that good for? Well, I find myself in the Shinonome and a couple of others using those rear guns to great effect against destroyers that want to chase me, because I can create a very narrow profile, and most of them, now there are exceptions, Gajimata is one that comes to mind immediately, most of them have to show a fair bit of their ship if they want to bring more than their forward gun to bear. So you can double their shell output and potential damage if you are kiting away and just creating that narrow profile. Okay, so obviously Hood avoided my torps, but the Gneisenau right behind him did not. And, you know, that's an important thing to note here. I have done really next to nothing in terms of damage, 28,000, and that's including the 2 torpedoes that I just landed. But what have I done? Well, in my opinion, I have brought back brought back 2 of their pushing battleships. I've kept a couple cruisers spotted for our team to finish off. And I'm giving reason for the friendlies with me to push in. So the enemy Gneisenau goes down up north. So there's no real serious threat. They've got the Miyoko up there. I finally do land one on Hood. But against a Scharnhorst and a Pensacola, he's pretty badly outgunned. Scharnhorst, if he can aim, he'll put some big holes in that Miyoko. Okay, Hood goes down. Why did I smoke up? Well, I'll talk about that next time. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time.